just became a teenager, and I'm watching this, and really it was great for me. It was terrible for him, because it taught me the value of money. It got me off my ass, and it really just jump started this whole, like, I remember I went with my mom. She was buying a Chevy, they were divorced, and we were in Ithaca, New York, and she was barely figuring out how she could buy this Chevy. I forget whatever it was an ugly car. And next door was BMW. And I looked at the BMW because at a young age, like I said, my father was doing well. So I was around nice stuff. And I said, man, I want one of those. And my mother turned to me and said, well, you got to work. If you work, you get one of those. And that moment, that you never know with a kid, right? The one sentence that's going to really sink in. And that was like a vice grip on my head that would transform my life. That one sentence at that one moment. And that was it. I defined myself as a worker from then on.
Is that when you started the pool cleaning business?
That was when I started the pool cleaning business. We'd go back to my dad in Queens in the summers. And my dad, his pool was turning green at this point because he didn't have the money things were a lot different. And it was deteriorating quickly. And my neighbor was the head of the Banana organized crime family. I was too young at the time to really understand it, although I knew he was a big shot and people respected him. And there was cars stopping in front of his house all day, every day, bringing him things. And he took me under his wing. He really took a liking to me. He saw what was going on with my dad. And he said, come on, kid, come clean my pool. So I was getting $35 a week from him. But he taught me some really key lessons, right? Like how important it is to show up on time, right? Make a commitment. You better be there. Go above and beyond. Not only are you going to clean the pool, I'm paying you to clean the pool, but you should probably straighten up the lawn furniture, straighten up my shed. If the dog on the side of the house pooped, make sure you clean that up. And those, any normal business person that had a business would have said, what are you talking about? That has nothing to do with the job you're hiring me to do. But he was right, because I made myself indispensable, invaluable. And when people came home, it was like, oh, Joe is here. So
be that guy, right? Be that guy that everybody goes, yeah, that's the guy. There's no question that's the guy you want.
And never ask for money. You weren't going to ask these guys for money. They paid you when they wanted to pay you. And
wow. And when did you figure out they were the Sopranos?
Well, I guess, it's hard to reflect back now and say at 13, I didn't know. But like on 4th of July, for example, probably starting when I was 8 or 9, so 4 years earlier, literally a tractor trailer would show up of the leftover fireworks that they didn't sell. And I kid you not, and I have witnesses on this that we could get, I kid you not, we would pour gasoline. I'm 8 or 9 years old at this point in the street. And it was way too many cases and cases of fireworks. And we would just throw them into the fire. And it was like, I don't know what World War II was like, but holy shit. Houses would catch on fire.
Just like in the middle of the street, Joe?
Right in the middle of the street. And
holy shit.
I had a friend show up from, hang on, let me take a sip of water here. I had a friend show up from Hong Kong later in life that I went to Cornell with, who really understood fireworks, because that's where all the fireworks were being made. And he said, I got to get him on the show. He said, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. This is unbelievable. Fireworks shooting in every direction. It was just complete insanity. So anyway, you see that at 9 or 10 years old, right? And people are probably making comments. You kind of know the guy's the real deal. I'm sure my father made some comments to me, and he was the only guy on the block with the house that had big white pillars, and it was clear this was different.
And it wasn't just because he had a really great car business or something, whatever front business he had.
He had a lot of businesses, but
yeah.
But I grew up and I became close with him, and I would be over the house a lot. And as my business grew, I had a customer that he had recommended that was 30 minutes away in Queens. and I had done a big job, and the guy owed me $65,000, and I couldn't ask for it, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was over my neighbor's house one night, as I normally was, and he said, "How's everything going?" And I explained the situation with this guy, and he said, "Well, take this bottle of champagne and tell him that it's coming from me." And I showed up at his house, this guy that owed me the money, and I handed the bottle of champagne. I said, "Joe sent this over," and he said, "Hold on, let me get you your money." And I didn't even have to say it. I didn't ask for the money. I didn't say anything. And he went into a safe and he gave me $65,000 in cash in a brown paper bag. So
How old were you, Joe?
Oh, at this time, probably 18 or 19.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, the business became the business became a
And
big.
can you remember the 18-year-old Joe? Like, what, as you're sort of going home that night, what was in your head, or what you thought you learned? Or
Yeah, no, by 18, 19, I started to really understand it and respect it, and probably idolize it, because who wouldn't want to be one of those guys? You got to remember, this is pre 1992, whenever it was that Giuliani started really cracking down, and all the people I knew, including customers and friends, started going to jail or disappearing. And before that, it was like, you want to be one of those guys. You want to be affiliated with one of those guys, because nobody's touching you, right?
yeah,
Like,
you're literally a made man.
yeah, or like they're taking care of you, and so and you got to understand, I had 700 customers with this thing. So I'm making up a number, but of the 700, let's say 200 of them were these guys. I knew everybody. I could
Yeah.
get in his house. I could hang out on the couch. I was the guy that they
Yeah.
trusted. I worked really hard, and that was respected. A guy that, because I hustled too, right?